The grand chamber of the Galactic Council floated above a golden planet, shining like a star. Hundreds of alien species sat inside, their faces glowing under the light of 1,000 suns. It was a day the galaxy would never forget, the day they voted to exile Earth. The room buzzed with anger and fear. Holograms of human battles and explosions filled the air. Footage of human soldiers fighting against impossible odds played again and again. They were fierce, emotional, and unpredictable. And that made the galaxy afraid. The Chancellor of the Varn Empire, a tall creature covered in blue scales, raised his claw. "Humans are a danger to peace," he shouted. His deep voice shook the room. "They fight even when they should surrender. They build weapons stronger than anything we have ever seen. They are chaos in flesh." Whispers spread through the chamber. They destroyed 2 pirate fleets alone. They colonized 5 worlds in 10 years. They don't follow the Council's laws. The silver-skinned Serathi ambassador spoke next. Her voice was cold like ice. "They are not part of the Order. They follow no rules but their own. If we let them grow, they will one day rule us all." A heavy silence followed. The decision was clear before the vote even began. "Let the vote begin," the Chancellor said. One by one, the representatives raised their lights. "Exile Earth. Exile Earth. Exile Earth." Not one voice stood for humanity. The final count was unanimous. The Chancellor struck the golden desk. "It is done. Humanity is no longer welcome in the Galactic Alliance. All trade, travel, and communication with Earth are forbidden. Let them survive alone." The galaxy believed they had removed a threat. They did not know they had just created one. A few hours later, the message reached the solar system. Inside Earth's orbital command station, the news played on every screen. The room was silent. No one spoke. No one cried. Commander Alara Hayes stood by the window, watching the curve of Earth below. Her short black hair floated in the station's zero gravity. The stars reflected in her eyes. "So," she said softly, "they finally did it." Beside her, Dr. Kieran Holt, a young scientist, frowned. "They cut us off from everything. Trade, technology, medicine. Should we protest?" Alara turned to him and smiled. It wasn't anger in her eyes. It was something else. Calm, proud, almost relieved. "No, Kieran. Let them think we're finished. Let them think we're alone." The entire command center went silent again. The decision spread across Earth like wildfire. The people were angry, yes, but also tired of being watched, judged, controlled by the Council. For the first time in 100 years, humanity stood truly free, and they smiled. Weeks passed, then months. The galaxy expected Earth to fall apart. Without trade and support, no planet could survive alone, or so they thought. But the opposite happened. Human ships stopped responding to alien frequencies. Earth's orbital gates closed. Every colony on Mars, Titan, and Europa went silent. The Galactic News Network showed images of human stations shutting down one by one. "Humans are isolating themselves," said one alien reporter. "They won't last a decade." But the truth was far stranger. Beyond the moon's orbit, something massive was being built. Huge structures surrounded by drones, frames of metal stretching miles wide. Strange energy fields glowed faintly, unseen by alien eyes. No one knew what it was. No one dared go near. 3 years later, a Varn scout ship passed near the edge of the solar system. The pilot, Captain Drahl, recorded something before vanishing. His last message was short and filled with static. "They're building something huge. It's not a station. It's a ship. Bigger than cities." After that, the signal ended. The Varn Empire dismissed it as malfunction, but deep down, fear began to grow. Inside the solar shipyards, Commander Alara stood watching thousands of workers move in silence. Huge engines roared below. New ships shaped like dark arrows floated in the void. Dr. Kieran walked beside her. "They exiled us," he said quietly. "Now what?" Alara's lips curved into a small smile. "Now," she said, We walk away, farther than they can ever imagine. She looked out into the stars, not at the galaxy, but beyond it. Let them keep their counsel. Let them keep their rules. We'll find our own path. Her voice was calm, but her words carried power. The galaxy thought it had ended humanity, but humanity had just begun its greatest journey. And far across the stars, among the alien worlds that voted for exile, rumors began to spread. Humans are gone. No, they're hiding something. I heard they're leaving the galaxy itself. No one knew the truth. No one dared find out. Because somewhere beyond the darkness, something was awakening. Something built by hands that refused to bow. Something that carried the name of Earth. The galaxy had moved on, or so they thought. After the vote, Earth went quiet. Too quiet. At first, alien merchants celebrated. Trade was smoother without human interference. The Galactic Council declared, peace has been restored. But deep inside, everyone felt something strange. A silence that didn't feel natural. The solar system, once full of life and trade routes, had turned into a void. No signals, no beacons, no movement. Only darkness. For the first few years, everyone believed humanity had accepted defeat. But by the 10th year, rumors began to spread. Small, strange reports whispered through black markets and secret channels. A Threxian spy claimed he saw giant human ships orbiting Titan, one of Saturn's moons. A merchant drone vanished near Mars after detecting unusual power readings. And in the cold of deep space, strange energy waves rippled out, like the heartbeat of something massive being built. The Galactic Council ignored these reports at first. Just superstition, said the Varn Chancellor. Humans are finished. But not everyone believed him. Far beyond Pluto, hidden behind rings of frozen rock, humanity was working in silence. The project was called Erebus. It wasn't a station. It wasn't a ship. It was something much bigger, something meant to go beyond the galaxy itself. Inside the main control hub, Commander Alara Hayes floated in zero gravity, watching thousands of drones weld massive steel arcs together. Blue light flashed against her face. How long until it's ready? She asked. Dr. Kieran Holt, now older and tired but still sharp, checked his screen. 5 more years, maybe less. The quantum drive is almost stable. Alara nodded slowly. Good. Once it's done, we leave. Kieran frowned. Leave. Where? Her eyes turned toward the distant stars. Out there, past the galactic edge, somewhere no one can find us. He stared at her, realizing what she meant. You want to leave the galaxy? Alara smiled faintly. We were exiled, remember? Let's make it official. Back in the center of the galaxy, unease was growing. In the council chamber, Ambassador Rethar of the Sarathi slammed her hands on the table. Our border sensors have detected unknown energy signatures near Sol. Someone is building something huge. The Varn Chancellor waved his claw lazily. Human myths. Their world is sealed. Nothing goes in or out. Rethar leaned forward, her eyes cold. And yet, these signals match human designs exactly. You can ignore it, Chancellor, but I will not. The room fell silent. For the first time in years, fear returned to their voices. Months later, a Varn recon ship approached the edge of the solar system. Its pilot, Captain Drall, was the same man who once reported strange activity years ago. He had never forgotten what he saw. This time, he muttered to his crew, we get proof. As their ship crossed into the outer darkness, their sensors flickered. Strange magnetic fields twisted their readings. Then they saw it. A massive ring, larger than any known structure, floated above the edge of the system. Energy pulsed through it like living fire. Inside the ring, light bent and folded, forming a window into something beyond space itself. Captain Drall stared, speechless. That's not a ship. Before he could send a full report, the ring activated. A shockwave of light spread through space. Every sensor died. Every system failed. And then, Silence. The Varn ship was never seen again. 3 weeks later, the Council received fragments of Draal's final transmission. The video was dark, static covering most of it, but one image was clear, a massive human symbol, glowing white across a black structure. The symbol of Earth. Panic spread through the Council. They're building something. They plan to attack. They were supposed to be gone. But when they sent probes to investigate, the solar system appeared empty. No readings, no signals. It was as if humanity had vanished into thin air. Far beyond the galaxy's edge, in a place no alien had ever reached, the truth waited. The Erebus project was complete. Thousands of humans stood inside the enormous shipyards orbiting a new kind of gate, a bridge that connected to the void beyond known space. Commander Alara looked out through the observation window. Is it stable? Dr. Kieran nodded, voice filled with awe. Stable. We can go anytime. She smiled. Then let's begin. The engines roared to life. Space around them twisted and bent. The stars stretched into lines of light. As the fleet began to move, Earth's final transmission was sent. Just one message, broadcast into the void. We walk away, but we never stop moving. And then, every human signal vanished from the galaxy forever. In the months that followed, alien scientists tried to explain it. Some said humans destroyed themselves. Others believed they escaped into another dimension. But deep down, many knew the truth. Humanity hadn't disappeared. They had evolved. They were walking where no one else dared to go. Years passed. The galaxy forgot. Until, one day, a strange signal appeared from the darkness beyond the galactic rim. It carried a voice, soft, human, and familiar. We are beyond. Every world stopped. Every empire listened. The silence was broken once again, and this time, the galaxy realized the exile of Earth had only been the beginning. For 50 years, the galaxy had known peace. The Council celebrated their great success. They said humanity was gone. But in quiet corners of the universe, strange things began to happen. Ships started to disappear. At first, it was only small cargo haulers. Then it was science vessels, patrol fleets, even entire exploration convoys. They would travel near the outer rim of the galaxy and never return. The only thing left behind were short, broken transmissions filled with static and fear. Something's here. Lights in the dark, not stars. They're watching us. And then, silence. The Galactic Council met once again, this time in fear. Ambassador Rathar of the Sarathi stood before the chamber, her silver skin pale with worry. 38 ships have vanished in the last 5 years, she said, all near the galactic edge, the same direction the humans once occupied. The Chancellor of the Varn Empire hissed. Coincidence. Pirates, black holes, natural dangers. Coincidence? She snapped. Every one of those ships sent the same signal before vanishing. Human signatures, human technology, human power readings. The hall went silent. The Chancellor looked around nervously. Impossible, he whispered. Humans are gone. But deep down, everyone in the room remembered the truth they didn't want to face. Humanity never truly disappeared. They walked away. Thousands of light years away, in the dark space beyond the stars, something vast was moving. It wasn't a fleet of ships. It was more like a moving city, built from black metal and glowing light. Engines the size of mountains hummed quietly. Thousands of human lives lived inside it, building, expanding, and exploring what lay beyond the galaxy. The Erebus colony had grown into something new, the Exodus fleet. Inside the command bridge, Commander Alara Hayes stood silently, watching the swirling void outside. Dr. Kieran Holt, now old and gray, stood beside her. It's been 50 years, he said softly. Do you think they've forgotten us? Alara smiled slightly. They tried to forget, but fear doesn't fade that easily. She turned to the massive viewing window. In the distance, stars burned faintly, a reminder of the galaxy that cast them out. Let them live their peace, we have work to do. Meanwhile, near the Pyrrhian cluster, a team of alien explorers discovered something terrifying. It looked like a gate, miles wide, drifting in the dark. Made of unknown alloys, smooth as glass, yet pulsing with life. Their sensors went wild. The structure was generating energy far beyond anything recorded in galactic history. Captain Varel, the mission leader, activated her recorder. This is Parian 7. We've found a megastructure, unknown origin. It's not natural. No signs of life. But her words stopped. A low hum filled the ship. The gate began to open. A thin line of white light stretched across space, widening into a spiral. And from the spiral, something stepped through. A single ship, sleek, black, silent, slid out of the gate like a shadow. The explorers gasped. The design was strange, elegant, yet familiar. On its hull, a symbol glowed faintly, the blue circle of Earth. Captain Varel whispered, trembling, "Humans." Before she could finish, her entire ship's systems went offline. Lights flickered. Gravity failed. The human vessel sent one message in a calm, human voice. "Do not follow us." The transmission ended. The alien ship was found drifting days later, its crew alive but their memories erased. Back in the council chamber, panic returned. "They're back," one alien shouted. "They warned us," said another. The chancellor's face was pale. After all these years, why now? No one had an answer. The Sarathi ambassador stood slowly. "They're not attacking. They're exploring. They've gone farther than any of us ever dared." "But why come back?" someone asked. She turned her gaze toward the dark stars. Maybe they're not coming back. Maybe they're just passing through, far beyond any known star. The Exodus fleet drifted near a glowing nebula. Thousands of humans worked silently, expanding their reach. New engines, new weapons, new dreams. Alara watched the data scrolling on her screen. How many new worlds? 7 confirmed, said Kieran. All breathable, all untouched. We can begin colonization. She nodded. Good. Humanity deserves a home beyond judgment. He looked at her thoughtfully. Do you think we'll ever return? Ilara's expression hardened. Return? No. We left for a reason. She paused, then added quietly. But someday, the galaxy will come to us. And across the Milky Way, alien civilizations trembled at the unknown. They saw the faint light of new stars flickering at the edge of space. Human stars. Rumors spread once again. The exiles are building worlds. They have ships that bend light. They've gone beyond time itself. No one knew if it was true. But every species that once voted for Earth's exile now lived in fear. Fear of the day when those humans, smiling as they walked away, might turn around. 100 years had passed since the exile of Earth. The galaxy had changed. New empires had risen and old ones had fallen. But one truth still haunted every civilization. The humans never truly vanished. Their name was now legend. Children on alien worlds whispered bedtime stories about the exiled ones. Traders swore they had seen ships made of black light slipping through the void. But no one had proof. Only fear. Until the day the signal arrived. The Galactic Communication Array, a massive network orbiting a dying star, had been silent for decades. Then suddenly, it came alive with a pulse so strong that every receiver in the galaxy picked it up. At first, it sounded like static. But soon, words began to form. Soft, slow, and unmistakably human. We are beyond. The message repeated again and again, echoing through every star system. We are beyond. Then silence. The council was called into emergency session within hours. Inside the chamber, panic ruled once again. Holograms flickered across the hall. Scientists, admirals, and politicians shouting over one another. The Varn Chancellor, older now, slammed his claw against the table. This is impossible. Earth is gone. The Sarathi ambassador stood, her voice calm but cold. Gone does not mean dead, Chancellor. You voted to exile them, not destroy them. He glared at her. So what are they now? Ghosts? Gods? She replied quietly. Something in between. The council ordered a full-scale investigation. Every sensor array, every scout ship, every probe was sent toward the galactic edge, the same region where the old human signals were once detected. For months there was nothing. Then, something answered back. A faint light appeared just beyond the rim of the galaxy, a flickering blue glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. Ships that approached it reported massive gravitational distortions. Captain Rethos, commanding the Council's most advanced explorer, Vigilant Dawn, recorded his final transmission before disappearing. The light, it's not a star, it's a doorway. And it's calling us. After that, his ship vanished. No trace, no debris, nothing. Meanwhile, in the cold void beyond the Milky Way, humanity was watching. The Exodus fleet had evolved into something extraordinary. A civilization of light and steel, floating between galaxies. They called their home the Halo Expanse, a network of ring worlds powered by quantum stars. Humans had changed. They lived longer, thought faster, built smarter, but they had not forgotten. Inside the central command ring, Commander Ilara Hayes, now a legend herself, stood before a glowing hologram of the Milky Way. Her voice was calm. "They're searching for us again." A young officer nodded. "Yes, ma'am." The night sky over a dozen alien worlds changed in a single moment. Where there had been stars, there now appeared lines. Thin, bright, silver lines stretching across space like cracks in glass. At first, people thought it was a cosmic storm, but astronomers soon realized the truth. These were not cracks in the sky. They were doors. And they were opening. In the council chamber, panic had become routine. For days they had argued about the signal, the missing star, and the mysterious words of the humans. But now, there was no more time to debate. Every telescope, every sensor, every probe screamed the same message. "Something is coming through." The Varn Chancellor shouted, "Seal the sectors. No ships in or out." The Sarathi ambassador whispered softly, "It's too late for that." Then it happened. A wave of light rolled through the galaxy, slow, steady, unstoppable. It didn't destroy, it didn't burn, it simply rewrote everything it touched. Dead moons bloomed with new forests. Old satellites, abandoned for centuries, powered back on. Planets long forgotten by their own empires suddenly hummed with quiet alien energy. The galaxy had seen war, extinction, rebirth, but never anything like this. In the middle of the chaos, the first ship appeared. It wasn't like any known design. It was not built, it was grown. A vast structure of living metal, pulsing with soft blue light. It didn't move through space. Space bent around it. The ship stopped just outside the galactic center. Billions watched the broadcast as the image came through. On the screen stood a human, female, calm and composed, wearing a suit that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her eyes were silver, her voice quiet but strong. "We are not your enemy. We were never your enemy." The galaxy fell silent. "You feared what we could become," she continued, "so you cast us out. In your fear you gave us freedom, and in that freedom we found truth." Her name, they would later learn, was Commander Ilara Hayes, the same woman who had led the Exodus fleet a century ago. But she looked unchanged, ageless. "We return not for vengeance," she said, "but to warn you." The council demanded a private audience. Only the Sarathi ambassador was brave enough to accept the human envoy in person. When she entered the chamber, Ilara's presence made the air shimmer. Every alien eye turned toward her. The Varn Chancellor's voice shook. "What do you mean? Warn us." Ilara's silver eyes flickered. "There is something beyond this galaxy, a hunger that moves between universes. It found us when we left, and now it follows the path back." Gasps filled the chamber. The Sarathi ambassador leaned forward. "You mean something worse than you?" Ilara gave a sad smile. "We don't destroy, we build. But this devours. She looked up at the star map floating above the table. A single region, dark, empty, was spreading outward from the edge of the galaxy. That darkness, she said quietly, is not absence, it's consumption. Across the galaxy, people began to panic again. The void beyond the galaxy was never truly empty. Even before humanity left, strange signals had been detected there, patterns with no logic, energy with no source. But now the darkness was moving, and it was hungry. From the halo expanse, humanity watched the growing shadow with silent focus. It spread like ink in water, swallowing starlight, bending time, devouring everything it touched. They had called it the silence. Ships sent into it never returned. Even light itself seemed to die there. Commander Ilara Hayes stood before the massive observation window of her flagship Sol Reborn, watching the edge of the darkness pulse like a living thing. Behind her, Dr. Kieran Holt read out the latest readings. It's accelerating. The void has consumed 2 more dwarf galaxies. Ilara's eyes narrowed. And its direction? Straight toward the Milky Way. Back in the galactic core, the Council had finally accepted the truth. For once, fear of humanity had turned into dependence. The Sarathi ambassador sent a message directly to the humans. We banished you, yet you came back to protect us. Why? Ilara's reply was calm. Because that's what humanity does. We face the darkness, even when no one stands beside us. Soon, a plan was formed. Human scientists shared their impossible technology, stellar shields, quantum drives, energy barriers that wrapped entire systems in light. Worlds that once hated Earth now begged for human engineers. Varn ships, Sarathi fleets, and even the cold-blooded Drexian warlords joined the Alliance of Light. But no matter how advanced their defenses, the silence kept growing. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't an army. It was an idea that ate reality. When the first human ship entered the silence, it carried a crew of volunteers. Their mission? To find out what lived inside the void. For 3 days there was nothing but static. Then a single transmission came through, a faint, trembling voice. It's not empty. It remembers us. And then silence again. Ilara ordered her fleet to move closer to the edge of the void. Billions across the galaxy watched as the Sol Reborn approached the endless black. Dr. Kieran whispered, "What if we can't stop it?" Ilara looked ahead. "Then we'll learn what it means to fight the dark itself." Her hand brushed the console, and the fleet began to form a wall. Thousands of ships, human and alien, united for the first time in galactic history. It was a sight no one had ever imagined. The exiled and their exilers standing together. And then, the dark moved back. Waves of shadow formed shapes, enormous twisting things like creatures made of night and memory. They had no eyes, but they watched. They had no mouths, but the void whispered. You left the garden. You should have stayed forgotten. The words echoed inside every mind that heard them. Entire crews screamed as nightmares filled their thoughts. Dr. Kieran clutched his head. It's speaking in every language at once. Ilara stood firm, her eyes glowing silver. Then we'll answer in one. She raised her hand. All ships, fire. The galaxy lit up. Thousands of beams, missiles, plasma arcs, and fusion bursts tore through the dark. But when the light faded, the void remained. And then, it spoke again. You cannot kill what is the end. A ripple of fear ran through the fleet. Ilara whispered almost to herself, We can't kill the end. She turned toward Kieran, her voice firm. But we can outlast it. She ordered the activation of Project Dawnforge, humanity's greatest secret. A network of artificial stars built outside the galaxy, connected through wormholes. Together they could ignite a new light field, a force powerful enough to drive back the void. The cost, the entire halo expanse, their home, would collapse to fuel the creation. Kieran's voice trembled. That would erase everything we built. Ilara nodded softly. We were exiled once. We survived. We'll do it again. if it means the galaxy lives. She sent one last transmission to the Council. Protect what's left. Remember who stood for you when the stars went dark. And with that, the humans vanished into the black. The halo expanse blazed brighter than 1,000 suns, then imploded. A wave of golden light surged outward, slamming into the silence. For the first time, the darkness screamed, and then slowly, it retreated. When the light faded, only silence remained. No human ships, no transmissions. Just peace. The galaxy mourned. For the first time in history, they held a day of remembrance for the exiled who saved everything. Years passed, and one night, as the Sarathi ambassador looked up at her world's sky, she saw something new. A single blue star, shining brighter than all others. She whispered to herself. They smiled and walked away again.
When Mira opened her eyes again, she was outside, under a real sky. Blue, bright, peaceful. The mountain was gone. The predators were gone. Around her, humans stood, blinking at the sunrise. Children laughed. The air was clean. The stars above shone gently. She looked down and saw Luna sitting beside her, perfectly calm, tail flicking. "You came back," Mira whispered. Luna purred softly. "So did you." Mira smiled. "Did we win?" "For now." The predators are gone, but the galaxies still remember. The Zolarians will return. But this time, humanity will not be pets. Mira stood up, looking at the horizon, a new world waiting to be built. Behind her, the survivors began to gather. They had tools, knowledge, and hope. What happens next? Someone asked. Mira turned to them, eyes shining. We rebuild. We start again. And we remember what we were and who saved us. Luna jumped onto a rock, watching the humans spread across the green valley below. Her eyes glowed faintly, and a small smile crossed her feline face. They laughed at human pets. She murmured softly, her voice fading in the wind. Until the pet became the protector. The camera would slowly pan up toward the sky, bright blue, filled with quiet stars, and one star, glowing gold, pulsing like a heartbeat. A final whisper echoed across the cosmos. The war never ends. It only changes its hunters.